Welcome back to the show, guys. Week 6 coming up. Vikings going to take on the Cardinals, get above 500. It's an exciting week. I'm feeling good about things. But let's start by thanking our sponsors. So as always, we're sponsored by Chapter 1 Films, which is Greg's video production company. If you need video for your business, get in touch with Chapter 1. They do awesome work. We're also sponsored by Snyder's Pretzels. So we got a question about Snyder's. So Greg, tell everybody again, remind them about what's the deal with Snyder's.
So Snyder's Pretzels became our superstitious meal of choice back in 2009. First round of the playoffs, whooped up on the Cowboys. We were eating Schneiders. We deemed them lucky to be eating at every game. We didn't have them the next game. That was when Brett Favre threw the interception and we lost to the Saints. So from that point on, they were our lucky snack food.
So we take them everywhere. We eat them every game. When we go to games in person, we sneak them into the stadium.
In our socks.
In our socks sometimes. So Snyder's Pretzels, sponsor of the show. Thank you, Snyder's. And as always, sponsored by Trey Waynes.
Thank you, Trey.
All right, man, let's get to it. You got a Kirk Cousins science fact for us?
We do have a Kirk Cousins science fact of the day. Today's Kirk Cousins science fact of the day is the average human body carries 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells.
You like that? You like that?
I mean, Kirk Cousins, man.
Thanks, Kirk.
Just keep sending them into the show. We love them.
You like that?
You and Tom Compton.
You and Tom Compton, perfect. All right, man, headlines, let's get to it. So Adam Thielen becomes the first wide receiver in NFL history to start the season with 5 straight 100-yard receiving games. Your thoughts?
It's kind of crazy, right? Like, we see him having interviews with Randy Moss and these other people, and I still picture him as like a high school player, like getting to meet Randy Moss, you know, or getting to meet Jerry Rice. And yet he's now doing, like, he's up there. He's not in the conversation, but I mean, he's breaking records, especially for Minnesota, with last year's record and everything, and now he's breaking nationwide records in the league. So, I mean, I feel like it's easy to doubt him because he doesn't look like much. And I mean, physically, if he's on a team with where he's a star receiver, maybe he isn't much, but he runs amazing routes. I mean, that's good. You can't take that away from him. And he's got great hands, and he's deceptively fast. So I mean, he's awesome. I mean, everybody in Minnesota loves him. I shouldn't even have to talk about whether I love him or not. I'm obsessed with the guy. But just on a national scale, like how the league sees him, I feel like he's really gonna start just making noise, man. I mean, he's gonna be something good for a long time.
100%.
All right, so Everson Griffin, some bad news. We hear right before the game last week that we have no idea when he's gonna come back, but we're not expecting it to be soon.
Yeah, I think it was Adam Schefter said Vikings are not expecting him to return, quote, anytime soon. And I think we kind of had an idea that he was probably going to be out for a while, but I read that as, like, we'll be lucky to get him back this season at all. And it's obviously it's a bummer, it first and foremost for him and his family, and then also obviously for the Vikings defense, he's just a difference maker. The good news is this defense is so stacked, and we have so much talent at so many different positions that, like, if anyone can survive the loss of a Pro Bowl player, it's the Vikings defense, you know? And we have Danielle Hunter on one side, who I think he has a sack in every single game this season, and he just looks like a monster. And then Stephen Weatherly stepped up and played a decent game. He had a sack, and he forced the fumble that Linval Joseph took to the house. So we've got depth on the defensive line. I worry about sort of his leadership, you know? We've talked about this before, like some of the, you know, like a Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, neither of them really seem like the type to kind of step up and be like an emotional leader, which Everson Griffin was. I'll never forget being on the sideline at the Washington game last year and hearing Everson Griffin like kind of break down the defense, and that guy is just loud and crazy, and he got everyone pumped up. So I think we might be missing that. But you know what? We're a veteran team. We've got veteran players, so I think we'll be fine. But let's hope we get him back soon.
Maybe Linval will step up in that spot.
Yeah.
He seems like a guy.
Exactly. If he can take the oxygen mask off for a little while. All right, man. So some sweet, awesome news. Packers lose to Detroit last week, and they fall to 2-1.
Listen, the Packers are a bad team. Like, straight up, they are a bad team. There's nothing good about it. When you look at the Patriots, They've got well-roundedness. Even when they have a bad defense, you know they're still going to make things happen. The Packers are a bad team, flat out. They have a really good quarterback, but they don't have a good coach. So you look at Patrick Mahomes, and he's a part of an offense that's run by Andy Reid, and that's just freaking awesome. Like, they kill it together. You have Drew Brees, and he's with Peyton, who just they run an awesome offense. Tom Brady with Bill Belichick, awesome offense. You have Aaron Rodgers. And you have Winnie the Pooh on the sideline, like phoning him in plays that Aaron Rodgers is like, yeah, we're not doing that. And you saw, I mean, last week when he lost receivers that aren't even that good in the first place. I mean, It's Randall Cobb and it's Allison something, whatever, and he loses these guys, and he just can't make anything happen. I mean,
his number 2 receiver was Equanimous St. Thomas or something like that.
Who lit it up because of Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, straight up, they're a bad team. Even when they get the receivers back, they're not going to be good enough, man. Like Aaron Rodgers will have some Aaron Rodgers magic this year against random teams. You'll see it. But losing to Washington, losing to Detroit, I mean, I don't see them as a threat at all. If anything, the Bears are now a level higher than them, in my opinion. If we can get past the Bears in Soldier Field, I think that's going to be more impressive than beating the Packers at home.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Drew Brees breaks the yardage record in a game, and there's a 5-minute pause in the game where the official presents Drew Brees with a certificate that I can only imagine said, "It's an honor for us to not call penalties on you."
I mean, unbelievable. Have I mentioned that I hate the Saints? And will never, ever be okay with the Saints after the 2009 season where they cheated their way. They stole our Super Bowl. And Drew Brees was a part of that team. And, like, yes, in isolation, Drew Brees, he's a great quarterback, can't take that away from him. But the NFL bends over backwards to kiss Drew Brees' butt every step of the way. Drew Brees and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers get more love. I mean, they get rules changed in the offseason to protect them. Drew Brees, before he broke the record, you and me saw this. He was doing something funky with his hands.
He would say hike before he hiked the ball.
Yeah, it was
it
should have been a false start.
Yeah.
And we see the referee come up to him and be like, "Hey, Drew, I'm real sorry to inconvenience you, but if you keep doing that, I'm going to have to throw a flag." And it's like no other quarterback besides Rodgers or Brady gets that.
The ref is up there and he's like, "Hey, when you're doing this, you can't do that." I'm sitting there like, why not just throw the flag? You don't have to ask permission.
So then they score the touchdown, and they start celebrating, and Drew Brees' family gets escorted onto the field, and it's like the game's over.
Then he takes his helmet off. The ref runs up to him. I'm like, here comes the delay of game. Not a flag, a certificate of thanks and gratitude.
That was the killer. You're like, you see the ref jogging over to him, and you're like, great, finally, someone's going to put an end to this circus. And instead of a flag, it's this laminated, cheap-looking certificate where the referee says, "Thank you so much for letting us officiate your way into the NFL."
And the announcers are crying. They're sitting there. What a beautiful thing to be a part. I would and I didn't do this. I want to know what Peyton Manning did when he broke.
Yeah, I'm sure nothing.
He completed a first down and the ran up was like Omaha, Omaha, and then they just continued down the field and nobody gave a crap. When Dan Marino did it, why all of a sudden Drew Brees does it and they're like, he has been a hero for this city. It makes me sick.
Unbelievable.
Man. It makes me sick.
Unbelievable. Never going to forgive Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. And if the NFL could stop kissing his butt every step of the way, that would be fantastic. So, anyways, hopefully we never have to see him break a record again because that was insufferable. All right, man. All right. So, we didn't hear from Uncle Louie last week, which was kind of odd. But I did get a letter from him this week.
He was still on the beach.
He was still on the beach. Yeah, so let's see what he has to say. Dearest nephew, remember when I told you that Dan Bailey would be roaming the Appalachians, shirtless and muttering to himself by Thanksgiving?
I remember that.
At this rate, he'll be lucky to last that long.
Oh, poor guy.
Anyway, let me tell you a thing or two about that Eagles game. Yes, you won, but you beat a team that is a decrepit shell of itself. The Eagles are in shambles, and they'll be lucky to win 6 games this year. In fact, the Eagles have already fulfilled their NFL destiny, which is the same as the destiny of every other team, which is to keep the Vikings from winning a Super Bowl. They did their job last year, and now the football gods have spit them out like spoiled milk, so don't get your hopes up. With love, always, Uncle Louie.
Uncle Lou, man, he knows how to say it.
He knows his
how to
stuff.
say it. What are you gonna do next week when we win, Uncle Louie? And the week after that, once we start rolling.
I'm sure he'll have something to say. All right, man, let's get to this Cardinals game that we have coming up here. So your thoughts on the Cardinals at home?
All right, well, very similar to the Buffalo game, but not with the same result. I think we should roll over this team. Another situation with a rookie quarterback, with a bad defense, and we're at home. But we've already done this once and failed miserably, so I think poor Cardinals, because I think they're going to get steamrolled. I don't see us overlooking them at all like we did with the Bills. That's already happened, and I think that Josh Allen, like, there's not going to be any shocker. Like, we're going to have some film on Rosen, so it's not going to be anything big. They just don't look very good.
I agree, man. They had a good game last week. They beat the Niners to get their first win of the season, but it's the Niners team with who's healthy in San Francisco at this point? Nobody. So I'm with you, man, and I agree that I think we learned our lesson. You know, I think that I sincerely hope that the Vikings are done overlooking teams. As long as we show up, play our game, like, I really think we should win by a healthy margin. It would be awesome if we could see, you know, cleaning up a few stages of the game. Like, it would be great to have, like, Dan Bailey come out and, like, make all his field goals. Maybe get, like, a 75-yard rusher. You know, I think Latavius got us, like, almost 50 yards last week, which is major progress. Like, let's see if we can get Dalvin Cook or Latavius to 75 yards, get some run game going.
They are the worst defense in the NFL against the run game, Arizona is.
Are they?
Yeah, they are the
that's
number
good
one.
news.
So we're going from the number 32 team to the number 1 team as far as giving up yardage. So
yeah,
hopefully we can finally spark a run game. That would be nice. And also, yeah, like you said, seeing a good kicking performance out of Bailey will be good because, man, I don't even know if we touched on the fact that, like, those 2 missed field goals. And I mean, he cleaned himself up, and like I told you, like in the recap show, he had the right attitude about it, where he was just like, meh, like, and I was like, perfect, all right, he's good. But it'll be nice to see him have a clean game, hopefully, at this next one.
All right, so if we lose the game, why?
Oh man, if we lose this game, I think the offense has a hiccup if we lose this, like, to lose the game. I think they're a deceptively decent defense. They still have Patrick Peterson. He made some plays. I think when they played the Rams, I was still impressed the way he was playing, the Cardinals. And so, I mean, I could see our offense. It's been rolling so fast that I could almost see it taking the same hiccup it did in the Buffalo game, as far as, like, we just don't get it going, and our defense just stays on the field too long, and eventually maybe they score 17 points, and our offense is a bad game. Maybe we get 10. But I don't think it's likely. But if our offense really struggles, if they start getting to Kirk Cousins and we can't establish the run game, I could see us losing.
Yeah.
So what do we have to do in order to win?
I'm going to say the one thing that we have to do is our offensive line has to show up. If the O-line, the only way we lose this game is if the O-line just cannot perform, cannot block. You know, as long as we give Kirk Cousins 3 seconds, 4 seconds to get the ball out, we'll be fine.
I will say, though, we didn't play, like, our offensive line didn't play that great in the Eagles game, and we still lit them up.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, they played halfway decent.
Yeah, as in comparison to the past 2 games, it was worlds better. But you got to give a lot of credit to Filippo because, man, it was a
well,
great...
and they kept saying that in the broadcast. Like, Filippo is doing a good job of just, like, scheming away from our weaknesses. Like, instead of being like, oh, we just have to run the ball down their throat because that's what offensive teams do. Yeah. He's like, no, we can't block. Yeah. So we're just going to throw the ball all the time because we have Diggs and Thielen. Yeah. And so, like, I like that. But at the same time, you saw what happened when we got a lead against the Eagles, and then we couldn't hold it because we couldn't run the ball. So sooner or later, we got to figure it out. And I'm really hoping that against the Cardinals that our O-line can be decent.
It's almost like the reverse of most teams that think you establish the run and then you open up the pass. It's like now, everybody knows we can throw, so we just throw down their throats until they have to start backing off and we start running the ball.
Yeah, no, it's funny. All right, man, give me a score prediction.
All right, I'm going to go, let's go 24-6.
Nice. I like it. I'm going to go 30-12. Vikings win. I think this is a blowout. I think we learned our lesson against Buffalo. I think we're going to take this game seriously. And also, we're going to go back to what we said last week, where as Vikings fans, we have to put out positive, like, waves into the football universe when we're watching these games. Because, like, the Eagles game, man, it started out with 2 missed field goals by Dan Bailey, and the wheels could have fallen off right there. But the Vikings stayed with it. So we just got to believe in this team and go on a run here
to a championship.
Exactly.
All right, so next week we have a very special looks like coming up, all right? And I want to get you guys involved. So we've been having a lot of attention on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and so next week we're going to do a looks like. This is where you take a Vikings player and you give them an alternate reality life. So for instance, one of the ones I did was that Kirk Cousins looks like the kind of guy who irons his dress pants while he sits there in his underwear. I mean, just something like that. So get as detailed as you want. Direct message our Facebook page, and we will read them on the show next week, and then we'll pick our favorite one. So yours could be picked, and if it is, we will give you a shout out on our show. So fill up our inboxes with those looks like.
So just go on Facebook and just search for People's Purple Show, and you will see Trey Wayne's smiling face, and that's us. So, all right, cool. Let's do it. We'll see you guys next week. Go Vikes.